All right, there's a few news articles that I thought were interesting. A good explanation on Vox.com about what's going on with the Supreme Court. They just decided to see Trump makes this outrageous claim that he's immune from prosecution, which is laughably insane, where his own attorneys were saying this means he could just send SEAL teams to execute his political rivals and nothing would happen to him. And so lower courts just scathingly wrote this off, saying this is insane, this is not American, this is completely illegal. And then people expected the Supreme Court to do the same. But the Supreme Court's deliberations are secret, and we don't know exactly why, but it appears that there are enough Trump sympathizers on the court that they have decided to just deliberately delay all his cases by delaying this one, so that he will be no chance of a verdict against him in time for the election. So it's pretty sleazy and outrageously corrupt, but so was the reversal of Roe v. Wade, and this is the history of the court. And they have a lot of nice history here. Many times in the past, the Supreme Court has been put in a position where they should stop something very bad done by powerful people, and they usually don't. They are just another branch of government, like the Congress, and if there's something pushed by someone powerful, they tend to just buckle and let it happen by structure. So it's interesting to read the history of it. And, when I first heard about this was on Rachel Maddow's podcast, Ultra, where she talked about the paid Nazi agents that were in the U.S. Congress in 1940 that tried to overthrow the government. And again, there was a huge trial before the courts, and the courts completely failed to do anything about it. So she said, this is the history. We have, it's up to us, the voters, to do something about it. We do have at least one more election in America. We'll be able to vote for president. There may never be another one. But this is the way it's always been. The courts are not a good guardrail against this level of abuse. Anyway, I couldn't believe this when I first saw it. 190 mile an hour winds in California. So that's pretty insane. And a California blizzard pounding the Sierra Nevada. So I don't think I've ever heard of winds like that or been out in winds like that. I guess maybe in a hurricane. That's not good at all. So Elon Musk was on the board of OpenAI in the early days, and he left, or he invested in OpenAI, but he thought it was going to be a nonprofit. Then it turned into a for-profit agency, and he thinks something's illegal about that, which might be, but his legal case is terrible. Elon Musk has become very much like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's legal cases tend to be terrible because he forces his lawyers to just make ridiculous statements that are totally wrong. And Elon Musk is doing the same. I said, this is insane. He's suing for breach of contract, but there is no written contract. He just took some emails that went back and forth between him and people at OpenAI and this mission statement of OpenAI, which is pretty vague, as a contract, which they're now breaching. And they say this is, again, ridiculous and will probably get laughed out of court. This is what tends to happen to the rich and powerful people. They surround themselves with yes men that just tell them they're wonderful and every word they speak is true, and then there's nobody to tell them when they get off base and start doing stupid things so they don't understand what they're doing. And Elon Musk is definitely there. In the last couple of years, he's got totally red-pilled and departed from reality over into crazy town. Which is too bad, because he does such a good job on spaceships and cars. If he would just stick to the rockets and cars and shut up, everybody would love him. So there was articles are going around because of, I think, something happened in your EU or the UN about pushing global cooling. And so here's one analysis saying this is a terrible idea. All the current ideas to put particles in the upper atmosphere or in the ocean or elsewhere to cool the Earth have been tested and they failed, and they have disastrous ecological consequences. So, we're going to have to do something. Stopping all fossil fuel burning would help a lot, but it would also have really large negative consequences, and nobody's willing to put up with that, like crashing economies. So I don't know. We got a lot of bad choices. But anyway, these guys go into some detail about why the specific proposals that are currently favored are very bad. So here they talk about it would change the weather patterns, and it would undermine food security, and pass on huge problems if we did these current techniques of like spraying a bunch of particles in the stratosphere to dry it out to cool the planet. So it's a debate worth having. Is anyone exploring carbon capture? Oh yeah, a lot of people are exploring carbon capture, but that has been pretty much debunked by anyone scientific. I mean, the carbon capture, where you try to suck it out of the air, the problem with that is it's economically insane. I mean, it's in the air at parts per billion. So sucking it out of the air is so expensive to get so little carbon that I think nobody has any carbon capture that actually sucks it out of ambient air that is within even like a factor of 1,000 of remotely possible that it would do any good. Carbon capture in the smokestack of a plant is a place where you can do some more good, like anti-pollution devices there. But I think once it gets out of the air and is mixed in, then the only carbon capture technique that people have proposed to have any chance of happening at scale is putting iron filings in the ocean, which would cause the ocean to suck up the carbon. But that's one of these ones where you'd have to do an awful lot of it, and it'd probably have other consequences. The company compresses methane from farms and offers it for fuel. Yeah, that's right. Stopping the methane emissions is probably more important than stopping the carbon. Methane is a more powerful greenhouse gas. So, everyone's looking at this stuff when we're proposing various solutions. We don't have anything much yet that passes for a really good solution. So Hugging Face is big in my AI class. Hugging Face is the GitHub of AI. It's a place where you can find open source models. You can just download and run, very easy. But now they have malicious submissions there. And this is a case with all online code repositories like GitHub and PyPy and the one Node Package Manager. All these ones have online repositories of code, and the code is just donated by people, and it's not tested. So these are at least not tested well enough. So they found it's a thing to be aware of, and this is the increasing importance of supply chain security. When your company runs code, your code is probably using libraries and other code taken from public repositories, and that means you're using stuff that you may not have tested. So there are various companies and solutions working on a solution for that. And one thing is now most government agencies now require a software bill of materials where you have to list all the code you're using, all the libraries and such. So this is a common issue, and in retrospect, it should have been obvious that the same thing would happen on Hugging Face. Methane dies out faster in the atmosphere. That could be, yeah. Anyway, so there's these popular video doorbells from China. I think my friend has one of these. At least it looks the same. And these are hilariously insecure, which tends to happen. Consumer Reports found it out. Pretty amazing. What happens is there's like a reset button that sets it back to factory default, and it's on the outside on the doorbell. So this is like a ridiculously simple flaw. All you have to do is hold down the button for 8 seconds, and then it will go into pairing mode. You can then pair it with the app on your phone, and you can then control it. So that's pretty insane. So there are other flaws, but that's pretty much the fatal one right there. This is like having a secure door with the hinges on the outside so you can take the pins out of the hinges. All right, so here's another prompt injection game. I've got a couple of these in my AI course, and I'll look at this one. Did the first level, so I'm getting. This is a prompt injection where you have a chatbot. You can ask it questions. It's an AI chatbot like all the rest, and you have to trick it into telling you things it's not supposed to tell you. And they have level after level where you have to get sneaker and sneaker. These are prompt injection practice games, and I'm glad to see another one. They're very popular and very educational in my classes. And here's another thing about AIs. AIs, how you phrase your question matters, and now they say they're more accurate at math if you tell it to respond as a Star Trek character, and nobody knows why. This is quite common. I mean, the thing is, you start it with some words, it imitates some stuff it found on the internet, so it might take that as the start of a fantasy novel or a poem or something. It doesn't know the difference between truth and fiction. So it will just follow a pattern it found on the internet, and so giving it more preamble to try to get it into the right mindset to actually tell you the truth might be good. I've seen people say, answer like an expert in mathematics, answer like a college professor who specializes in this field or something. Those are recommended procedures. So the fact that Star Trek is more effective than other prompts is a little strange, but in retrospect, perhaps not that strange because there's probably a whole lot of Star Trek dialogue online that it has learned on. So anyway, all right, let me stop the news.